The stars shone cold and distant above Earth's North American Defense Headquarters. Inside the massive underground complex, Commander Ella Wright rubbed her tired eyes. Another late night reviewing defense protocols that would likely never be used. Earth had been cut off from galactic society for over a century, blocked by alien races who feared humans and their Deathworld biology. The alarm blared without warning. Red lights flashed across the command center. "Unknown signal breaching our communications blackout," shouted Lieutenant Ben Rogers, his fingers flying across his console. "It's coming through all channels simultaneously." Admiral Frank Porter strode into the room, his uniform crisp despite the late hour. "Source? The blockade ships, sir. They're requesting direct communication." The room fell silent. The alien blockade had maintained radio silence for decades, content to simply prevent humans from expanding beyond their solar system. "Put it on screen," Porter ordered. The main display flickered to life. The being that appeared made several junior officers step back involuntarily. It had 6 limbs, a body covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with each movement, and large, multifaceted eyes that reflected the light like shattered diamonds. The Novan ambassador's spindly form seemed almost fragile. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, its words translated through a hastily activated matrix. "After long isolation, we come to you with urgent need." Porter squared his shoulders. "This is Admiral Porter of the Earth Defense Force. State your purpose." The alien's skin rippled, changing from blue to a troubled purple. "I am Ambassador Zex of the Galactic Concord. We face extinction, a threat beyond our capacity to fight. We need Deathworlders." Dr. Natalie Coleman stepped forward. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had studied the limited data available on the various alien species enforcing Earth's quarantine. "You've blocked our development for a century," she said. "Called us violent and primitive. Now you want our help?" The ambassador's limbs moved in what might have been a gesture of agreement. "Yes. Our mistake. Our great mistake." Images began to stream across the secondary monitors. Burning planets. Shattered space stations. Strange, insect-like ships tearing through defenses with frightening ease. "The void breed came from beyond known space," the ambassador explained. "They consume everything. Resources, technology, people. 16 star systems lost already. Our weapons barely hurt them. Our ships too slow to escape them." Porter watched the footage with growing concern. "And why exactly would Earth want to get involved in your war?" "Because you evolved on a planet that should have killed you," the ambassador said simply. "Your gravity is crushing to us. Your atmosphere filled with toxins. Your wildlife deadly. Your weather extreme. These conditions shaped you into something the galaxy has rarely seen. Natural survivors." Ella studied the alien with newfound interest. The quarantine had always been explained as fear of human violence, but this suggested something deeper, fear of human resilience. "The void breed evolved in conditions even harsher than Earth," the ambassador continued. "They are strong, fast, and heal quickly. Our species never developed such traits. We come from gentle worlds with mild climates and few predators." "Garden." "Worlds," Natalie murmured, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Yes. For 3,000 years the Concord expanded through space, meeting only other garden worlders like ourselves. We grew soft, comfortable. Then the void breed found us." More images flashed across the screens. Closer views of the void breed, creatures with black exoskeletons, multiple limbs ending in natural weapons, and no visible eyes yet moving with terrifying purpose. "You want us to fight your war," Porter said, "after keeping us prisoners in our own solar system." The ambassador's color changed again, this time to a deep red. "Yes. In exchange, the quarantine ends forever. Earth joins the Concord as a full member with all trade and colonization rights. We need what only Deathworlders possess." "And what's that?" Ella asked. "The physical ability to face the void breed combined with something they lack, compassion. The will to fight for others, not just yourselves." The ambassador's voice softened. "We need monsters who choose not to be monsters." After the transmission ended, Earth's highest military and political leaders gathered in the crisis room. The debate raged for hours. "This could be our only chance to break the quarantine," argued General Sandy Wilson, her weathered face tight with intensity. "We've been trying to get past their blockade for decades. Or it could be a trap," countered Secretary Oliver West. "Lure our best forces away, then strike a defenseless Earth." Porter stood at the window, looking out at the night sky. "If those images are real, the Void breed won't stop with the conquered. They'll keep consuming until they reach us anyway. Better to fight them out there, with allies, than here alone." President Diane Ross made the final decision. "Assemble a response force. Our best soldiers, scientists, and engineers. If we do this, we show the galaxy what humanity truly is." Within days, the USS Defender, Earth's largest warship, was prepared for the mission. In its massive hangar bay, Ella watched as specialized teams gathered their equipment. Dr. Alan Peterson approached her, carrying a data tablet. "I've analyzed the Void breed samples they sent. These creatures are amazing in a terrifying way. They have redundant organs, distributed nervous systems, and regenerative abilities that make ours look primitive. Can they be killed?" Ella asked plainly. Alan nodded. "Everything can be killed. The question is whether their hive mind will learn from each death to prevent the next one." Across the hangar, Lieutenant Commander Greg Hudson supervised the loading of experimental weapons. "They really think we're their salvation?" he asked as Ella joined him. "After a century of calling us savages?" "Funny how perspectives change when extinction looms," she replied. "Seems being from a planet that wants to kill you every day finally has advantages." Colonel Lisa Martinez tested her combat exoskeleton nearby, the hydraulics hissing as the suit amplified her already considerable strength. "Garden-worlders. Never had to evolve real defenses or survival instincts. No wonder they're getting slaughtered." Admiral Porter addressed the assembled forces the night before departure. His voice echoed through the hangar, reaching every ear. "This mission isn't just about saving alien civilizations," he said. "Every species the Void breed consume makes them stronger. If they reach Earth, they'll find billions of apex predators to add to their collective. We stop them out there, or we face them here." As the Defender prepared to leave Earth orbit the next morning, Ella stood at a viewport watching her home planet shrink in the distance. For the first time in a century, a human ship would pass through the blockade, invited, not as enemies, but as the last hope of the very beings who had confined them. The aliens had begged for heroes. Now the Deathworlders would answer with fire. The USS Defender hung in space near the edge of Earth's solar system. The massive warship, over a mile long, had been built for a war that never came. Now, it would finally serve its purpose. Lieutenant Commander Greg Hudson stood in the ship's main hangar watching as shuttles brought up the last of the mission personnel. Each person had been handpicked for this dangerous journey. The best Earth had to offer. "Hard to believe we're actually going through the blockade," said Dr. Alan Peterson as he joined Greg. The scientist carried a heavy case of equipment, his thin frame struggling slightly with the weight. "With permission even." Greg took the case from him. "Permission given by aliens who need cannon fodder. Don't get too excited." They walked together through the busy hangar. Everywhere, soldiers checked weapons while engineers prepared vehicles and equipment. The ship buzzed with nervous energy. "What do you think of our new friends?" Greg asked, nodding toward a corner of the hangar. There, 3 Novan representatives stood awkwardly, their 6-limbed bodies clearly uncomfortable in Earth's gravity. Even with special suits to help them, they moved slowly and carefully. "Fascinating biology," Alan replied. "Their home planet has 1/3 Earth's gravity and almost no seasonal changes. No large predators either. They evolved for efficiency, not survival. So basically they're soft," Greg said flatly. "Different," Alan corrected. "Their technology is far beyond ours in many ways. They just never needed to become physically strong or aggressive." Colonel Lisa Martinez approached them, her combat exoskeleton making her footsteps heavy on the metal floor. The powered suit made her look twice as wide and a foot taller. Playing nice with the eggheads, Hudson? She asked with a small smile. Greg grinned. Someone has to make sure they don't break before we even get to the fight. Lisa's smile faded as she looked at the Novan representatives. Do you trust them? After a century of keeping us locked in our own system? No, Greg admitted. But I trust the Void breed even less. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All personnel report to your stations. Wormgate transit in 30 minutes. For 100 years, the alien blockade had prevented humans from using the network of artificial wormholes that connected star systems. Now one would be opened specially for them. In the main briefing room, Commander Ella Wright stood beside Admiral Porter as they addressed the mission leaders. A holographic display showed their destination. A star system called Proxima Centauri, the closest to Earth and now a forward base against the Void breed. The Concord forces have established a defensive line here, Porter said, pointing to a position near the system's fourth planet. But they're losing ground daily. Our job is to arrive, assess the enemy, and find weaknesses we can exploit. Ella activated a different display, showing biological scans of the Void breed. These are our targets. Based on the samples provided, they share certain traits with Earth life, despite evolving in even harsher conditions. Exoskeleton protection, multiple redundant systems, distributed nervous tissue, and most concerning, a linked hive mind that allows rapid adaptation. Can they be killed? Asked Sergeant Olivia Ramirez, a veteran of Earth's resource conflicts. Everything can be killed, Ella replied. The question is whether we can kill them faster than they learn from each encounter. The ship shuddered slightly as its engines powered up to full capacity. On the bridge, Navigation Officer Kim Davis monitored the approach to the designated coordinates where the worm gate would open. Gate coordinates locked, she reported. Concord ships are signaling ready. Captain Eric Shaw nodded. Proceed with transit. Ahead of the Defender, space itself seemed to fold. A swirling vortex of blue-green energy formed, growing until it was large enough for the massive ship to pass through. After a century of confinement, humanity was about to step onto the galactic stage. All hands secure for wormhole transit, Shaw ordered. The journey through the worm gate took only moments, but to many on board it felt like an eternity. A strange, stretching sensation, a moment of complete disorientation, then, transit complete, Kim announced. We've arrived at Proxima Centauri. The view screen showed their new surroundings. A red dwarf star burned in the distance. Several planets orbited it. And surrounding the fourth planet, a battle raged. The elegant ships of the Concorde, with their flowing lines and crystalline structures, exchanged fire with crude, organic-looking vessels that pulsed with sickly green light. The Void-breed ships moved with unnatural speed, swarming around the larger Concorde vessels like predators circling wounded prey. My God, someone whispered on the bridge. Incoming transmission from Concorde Command, the communications officer, reported. A holographic image appeared of a different alien species than the Novans. This one had 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer with patterns of light. A Lumari, according to their briefings. Earth vessel, the alien said through the translation system. Your arrival is timely. The Void breed have breached our outer defenses. We cannot hold this position much longer without assistance. Admiral Porter stepped forward. We're here as agreed. What's the situation on the ground? The fourth planet has a mining colony. Critical resource point. Void breed forces landed 3 days ago. Our ground troops are not equipped for direct combat. They overwhelm us. Porter nodded grimly. We'll deploy immediately. Send us the coordinates of your remaining forces. Within hours, dropships launched from the Defender's hangar bays. Greg found himself seated between Lisa and Olivia as their craft plunged through the planet's thin atmosphere. First combat drop against an alien species, Lisa said, checking her weapon for the 10th time. Never thought I'd see the day. Just remember your training, Greg replied. They may look different, but the principles are the same. Find cover, identify weaknesses, coordinate fire. The dropship shook violently as it descended. Through the small viewport, Greg could see the landscape below. a rocky, barren world with structures of metal and crystal scattered across its surface. Many of those structures now burned. "LZ in sight," the pilot announced. "Be advised, we have movement around the perimeter, lots of movement." The ship's sensors projected images onto their tactical displays. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of void-breed creatures surrounded the small pocket of surviving conquered forces. The aliens had made their last stand in a mining facility, but they were completely surrounded. "Remember," Dr. Allen's voice came through, their comms from his position on the Defender. "Every void breed you encounter is connected to the hive mind. What one learns, they all learn. Don't establish patterns they can adapt to." The dropship touched down with a heavy thud. The rear ramp lowered, revealing the alien landscape. "Go! Go! Go!" the squad leader shouted. Greg ran down the ramp, weapon ready. His first step onto an alien world was met with the screech of approaching void breed. The creatures moved with frightening speed across the rocky ground, their black exoskeletons glistening under the red sun. Lisa fired first, her heavy weapon sending a spray of plasma into the charging creatures. One exploded in a shower of dark fluid, but the others kept coming. All around them, more dropships landed, disgorging squads of human soldiers. The air filled with weapons fire and the high-pitched screams of the void breed. As Greg took aim at an approaching creature, he realized this was what humans had evolved for: survival against all odds. The Garden Worlders had never faced true threats on their home planets. They had never needed to become warriors. But Earth had forged its children in fire and pain. And now, the Deathworlders would show the galaxy what that truly meant. The mining facility on Proxima Centauri's fourth planet lay in ruins. What had once been a marvel of alien engineering was now a battlefield, littered with broken machinery and bodies. Lieutenant Commander Greg Hudson crouched behind a fallen support beam, his breathing steady despite the chaos around him. Plasma fire sizzled overhead, striking the wall behind him and melting the strange metal. "How many?" he asked into his comm unit. "Too many," Sergeant Olivia Ramirez replied from her position across the open courtyard. "At least 50 coming from the east, another group from the north. They're trying to surround us." Greg checked his weapon's power level, 63%. Not great. They'd been fighting nonstop for 6 hours, and the void breed showed no signs of tiring. "All teams, fall back to position. Delta," he ordered. "Controlled retreat. Cover each other." The human soldiers moved with practiced precision, one group providing covering fire while another fell back, then switching roles. The conquered aliens watched in amazement from their positions. Their remaining troops, thin, four-armed Lumari, had never seen such coordinated combat. As Greg's team reached the central mining building, Colonel Lisa Martinez met them at the entrance. Her exoskeleton was damaged, one arm hanging useless at her side, but she still stood tall. "The Concord communications array is back online," she reported. "We've got a direct link to the Defender." Inside the building, a small group of Lumari engineers worked frantically to strengthen the facility's defenses. Their advanced technology could create energy barriers, if they had enough time to set them up. "Commander Wright," Greg called over the comm. "We need air support. The void breed are massing for another push." On the USS Defender in orbit above, Ella studied the tactical display with growing concern. "The void breed ships are moving to block our dropships," she told Admiral Porter. "They're learning our tactics already." Porter's weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Captain Shaw, move us into low orbit. We'll provide direct fire support." "Sir," Shaw protested, "that'll put us within range of the void breed ground defenses." "That's the point, Captain. Execute the order." The massive human warship broke formation with the conquered fleet, diving toward the planet's atmosphere. The void breed ships moved to intercept but seemed confused by the reckless maneuver. "They don't understand," Kim Davis said from her sensor station. "The conquered ships can't handle these gravitational stresses. They think we can't either." The Defender shuddered as it entered the upper atmosphere, its hull glowing from the friction. On the ground, Greg and his team could see the fiery streak of the ship's descent. "What are they doing?" asked a Lumari officer, his light patterns showing clear distress. "Bringing the fight to them," Greg replied with a grim smile. The Defender's weapon systems locked onto the void breed concentrations. Massive railguns extended from the ship's hull, each one capable of launching projectiles at speeds that created their own shockwaves. "Firing solution ready," reported the weapons officer. "Fire," Porter ordered calmly. The ship shook as the railguns discharged. Massive tungsten rods hurtled toward the surface, glowing white-hot from atmospheric entry. They struck the void breed gathering points with the force of small meteors, turning solid rock into craters of molten slag. The shockwaves knocked human and alien soldiers off their feet despite being kilometers from the impact sites. Greg pushed himself up from the floor, ears ringing. Through the facility's windows he could see pillars of smoke rising where thousands of void breed had been moments before. "That's how you make an entrance," Lisa said, her voice tight with pain but still carrying a note of pride. The Lumari simply stared in shock. Their combat doctrine had no concept of such destructive force being used so close to friendly troops. To them, it seemed like madness. But the void breed were not defeated. From the smoke and fire, new shapes emerged, larger, more heavily armored versions of the creatures they'd fought before. "They're adapting." Dr. Alan Peterson's voice came over the comm from the Defender. "The survivors are evolving thicker armor to withstand kinetic impacts." "Then we switched tactics," Greg replied. He turned to his squad. "Energy weapons only from now on, short, controlled bursts." The battle resumed with new intensity. The human soldiers adjusted their fighting style, using their energy weapons to target joints and sensory organs rather than trying to penetrate the creature's main body armor. In orbit, the space battle had also evolved. The void breed ships no longer attacked in simple waves but had adopted new formations that mimicked human naval tactics. "They're learning," Captain Shaw observed grimly. "Every engagement teaches them more about how we fight." A conquered ship nearby exploded as 3 void breed vessels concentrated their fire on its propulsion systems, a tactic they had seen the human ship use earlier. "We need to end this quickly," Porter decided, "before they learn too much." On the ground, Greg led a small team deeper into the mining facility. According to the Lumari, the complex contained something the void breed wanted badly, a rare mineral used in faster-than-light communications. "If they get this stuff, they could coordinate their hive mind across star systems," Greg explained to Olivia as they moved through the dimly lit corridors. "Right now there's a delay between distant groups." They reached the central vault but found the massive door already torn open. Inside, 3 specialized void breed were extracting glowing blue crystals from storage containers. These creatures looked different from the others, smaller, with more limbs and enlarged cranial structures. "Workers, not warriors. Take them down." "Quietly," Greg ordered. His team moved silently, using knives rather than energy weapons to avoid alerting others. The void breed worker types died without sound, their bodies shuddering as the connection to the hive mind was severed. "Package the remaining crystals," Greg told his team. "We're taking them with us." As they worked, a strange vibration ran through the facility. The lights flickered, then died completely. "What was that?" Olivia asked, switching to night vision. The answer came from Lisa over the comm. "They're bringing down the big guns. Some kind of massive void breed, at least 10 times larger than the others. It's tearing through our outer defenses like they're paper." Greg ordered his team to hurry. They needed to secure the crystals and evacuate before the facility was overrun. When they emerged from the lower levels, the scene in the main chamber had changed dramatically. The Lumari were frantically packing up their equipment while human soldiers set up defensive positions around the exits. Through the shattered ceiling dome, Greg could see the Defender engaged with void breed ships in the sky above. Energy weapons and missiles crisscrossed the red-tinged atmosphere. "Extraction team incoming," Lisa informed them. 2 minutes out. We need to hold this position." The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something massive was approaching the facility. "What exactly are we facing?" Greg asked. A Lumari scientist activated a holographic display, showing sensor readings from outside. The image showed a void breed unlike any they'd seen before, a hulking monstrosity that walked on 6 thick legs, its body covered in overlapping armor plates. Most disturbing were the weapons growing from its sides. organic equivalents of the energy cannons the humans used. They've adapted our technology, the scientist said, voice trembling. Impossible. Such evolution should take generations, not hours. Greg checked his weapon one last time. Nothing's impossible, just unlikely. He turned to the human soldiers. Form a perimeter. Concentrate fire on the leg joints and weapon mounts. We just need to hold until extraction. As the gigantic void breed approached the facility, tearing through barricades with ease, the human soldiers took their positions. They were outnumbered and outgunned, facing an enemy that grew stronger with every encounter. But they were Deathworlders, descendants of survivors who had thrived on a planet that tried to kill them every day, and they were about to show the galaxy exactly what that meant. 3 months after the battle at Proxima Centauri, the war had spread across 12 star systems. The USS Defender, once pristine, now bore the scars of countless battles. Its hull was patched in dozens of places, the metal discolored from emergency repairs. Commander Ella Wright stood on the bridge studying the tactical display that showed their next destination, the Novan homeworld, Lumerus Prime. Once considered the jewel of the galactic Concord, it was now the front line in the fight against the Void Breed. "How bad is it?" she asked Admiral Porter, who had just finished a secure communication with Concord High Command. Porter's face showed rare emotion, concern. "Bad. The Void Breed have adapted faster than anyone predicted. They've breached the outer defense grid and landed forces on the northern continent." Captain Shaw joined them at the display. "The Concord is evacuating. Civilians, but their transports are slow. If the planet falls before evacuation is complete..." He didn't need to finish the thought. They had all seen what happened when the Void Breed overran a populated world. No survivors. Only resources to feed their ever-growing hive. "What makes this planet so important?" asked Kim Davis from her station. "We've already lost 6 systems. Why make a stand here?" 2 reasons, Porter replied. First, it's the Novan homeworld, their seat of government and largest population center. Second, their science directorate has been working on a potential countermeasure against the Void Breed hive mind. If we lose that research, we may lose the war. The Defender emerged from Wormgate Transit near Lumerus Prime. The view on the main screen stunned everyone into silence. The planet below should have been beautiful, a world of floating crystal forests and vast oceanic cities glittering under twin moons. Instead, much of the northern continent was covered in a sickly green growth, Void Breed terraforming spores changing the very atmosphere to suit their biology. "My God," someone whispered. Ella had seen many horrors during this war, but the sight of the infected planet struck her deeply. The Novans, for all their faults, had built something truly beautiful, a civilization in perfect harmony with their world. Now it was being consumed from within. "Incoming transmission from the surface," announced the communications officer. The QR holographic projector activated, showing a Novan scientist. His normally iridescent skin was dull with exhaustion, and one of his 6 limbs was missing, the stump crudely bandaged. "Defender, thank the stars you've arrived," the scientist said. "I am Director Kelv of the Science Directorate. We don't have much time. The Void Breed have breached the capital's outer defenses. Our bioweapon research is nearly complete, but we need more time." Porter leaned forward. "What kind of time frame are we talking about, Director?" "Hours, not days. If we can hold them back long enough to finish synthesizing the agent, we may have a way to disrupt their hive connection." "We'll deploy all available forces," Porter promised. "Hold your position. Help is coming." As the transmission ended, Porter turned to Ella. "Assemble the ground teams. Priority mission is extracting the Science Directorate and their research." "Yes, sir." In the dropship bay, Lieutenant Commander Greg Hudson briefed his team. After 3 months of combat, they were no longer the clean, disciplined soldiers who had left Earth. Now they were hardened veterans, their armor scratched and personalized, their faces thin and determined. "This is likely to be the toughest fight we've seen yet," Greg told them. "The Void Breed have developed new variants specifically designed to counter human tactics. They've analyzed our strengths and built counters." Colonel Lisa Martinez nodded, grimly. Her exoskeleton had been repaired many times, now a patchwork of original and salvaged parts. They're using variants with enhanced bone density and muscle mass, trying to match our physical capabilities. Worse, added Dr. Natalie Coleman, who had joined them for this mission, they've incorporated human DNA into some of their newer forms. They're developing problem-solving abilities, creative thinking, things the hive mind previously lacked. Sergeant Olivia Ramirez checked her weapons, so they're learning to think like us. Good. About time we had a fair fight. A few soldiers laughed, but the sound held little humor. They all knew what awaited them on the surface. The dropships launched, 12 in total, each carrying 20 soldiers plus support staff. As they entered the atmosphere, Greg looked out the viewport at the planet below. Even from here, he could see the battle raging around the capital city, energy weapons flashing, explosions blooming like deadly flowers. Remember, he told his team, this isn't just about saving their world. If they complete this bioweapon, we might finally have a way to end this war. The dropship shuddered as it hit turbulence, atmospheric disturbances caused by the void breed, spores. Through the clouds, they could see the Science Directorate complex, a beautiful structure of sweeping crystal towers, now partially collapsed and surrounded by void breed forces. LZ is too hot, the pilot announced. Going to have to put you down 2 clicks south and let you fight your way in. Just get us on the ground, Greg replied. The dropships landed in a public park that had been converted to a refugee collection. Point. Now it was abandoned, the decorative pools filled with debris, the ornamental trees withered from void breed toxins. Greg led his team north, moving quickly through the deserted streets of what had once been a beautiful city. The architecture was unlike anything on Earth. Buildings that seemed to grow organically from crystal foundations, structures that changed colors with the light. Contact front, Olivia warned as they approached the first intersection. The void breed that stepped into view looked nothing like the original variants they had fought at Proxima Centauri. This creature walked upright on 2 powerful legs. Its arms ended in clawed hands capable of gripping weapons. Most disturbing was its head, no longer insect-like but with a face that showed disturbing hints of humanity. They're evolving faster, Lisa said quietly, taking the best traits from every species they consume. The creature spotted them and made a strange clicking sound. Immediately, more void breed appeared from side streets and buildings, all showing the same disturbing hybrid features. They set up an ambush, Greg realized. They predicted our landing zone and approach route. Open fire, Lisa ordered. The battle that followed was unlike any they had fought before. The new void breed variants didn't just charge mindlessly. They used cover, coordinated their attacks, and even employed captured Concord weapons. What they still lacked in individual intelligence they made up for with perfect coordination through their hive mind. Greg's team fought their way forward meter by meter, suffering casualties with each block. By the time they reached the Science Directorate complex, his original force of 20 was down to 14. The complex itself was a battleground. Concord security forces, mostly Lumari with a few Novan officers, held the inner perimeter with impressive energy shields. Outside those shields, void breed forces probed for weaknesses. Commander Hudson to Concord forces, Greg called over. The common frequency. Approaching your position from the south, hold your fire. His team sprinted across the open plaza in front of the complex, drawing fire from the void breed. The alien security forces opened a small gap in their shield wall, allowing the humans to enter. Inside, Greg found organized chaos. Scientists rushed to pack equipment and research materials while security teams reinforced barricades. In the center of it all stood Director Kelv, coordinating the evacuation. Commander, the Novan said when he spotted Greg. You made it. We're nearly finished synthesizing the agent. Just a few more minutes. Greg looked around at the deteriorating situation. I don't think we have a few more minutes, Director. As if to emphasize his point, a massive explosion shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling as cracks spread through the crystal walls. They've breached the outer defenses, a Lumari security officer reported. Estimate complete failure within 10 minutes. Greg turned to Lisa. Get your team to the main laboratory, secure that research and the scientists. We're leaving as soon as possible. As Lisa led half the team deeper into the complex, Greg organized the remaining human soldiers to reinforce the perimeter. Time was running out, and the garden world of Lumaris Prime was about to become another casualty in a war that threatened to consume the entire galaxy. The final battle took place near a dying star. Its red light cast everything in blood-colored shadows as the combined fleets of Earth and the remaining Concord forces faced the main Voidbreed Hive fleet. On the bridge of the USS Defender, Admiral Porter looked at the tactical display. The massive organic vessels of the Voidbreed surrounded a central node, a pulsing structure twice the size of the largest ships. This was the heart of the hive mind, the primary brain that directed the collective. The disruptor is ready, Doctor, Natalie Coleman reported. She held a small device in her hands, the result of the Novan research they had rescued from Lumaris Prime. But we'll need to deploy it directly into the central node. Their adaptive capabilities will neutralize it. If we try to deliver it conventionally, that means someone has to fly right into the heart of their fleet, Ella said quietly. Greg Hudson stepped forward. I'll take a stealth craft, small enough to slip through their defenses. Lisa Martinez joined him. You'll need backup. I'm coming too. Porter nodded gravely. The rest of the fleet will create a diversion. Draw their attention while you approach from behind. As Greg and Lisa prepared to board the stealth vessel, they knew their chances of returning were slim. You know the Concord scientists gave this mission a 0% chance of success, Greg said as they completed their pre-launch checks. Lisa smiled grimly. They don't understand Deathworlders. Impossible odds just make us more stubborn. The battle erupted across the star system. Human ships executed maneuvers that subjected their crews to crushing forces, while Concord vessels provided fire support from safer distances. The Voidbreed responded with strategies clearly influenced by assimilated human tactics. Inside the stealth ship, Greg piloted through the chaos of battle. Their small vessel, barely larger than a shuttle, was nearly invisible to sensors, a gift of Concord technology combined with human engineering. We're approaching the central node, Lisa reported. No sign they've detected us. The central node pulsed with eerie light. Its surface was covered with strange patterns that shifted and changed, like thoughts made visible. That's it, Greg said. The brain of the hive. They landed in a small cavity on the node's surface. Wearing sealed suits, they stepped out into an environment no garden worlder could have survived. Intense radiation, toxic atmosphere, and crushing pressure. Let's place the charges and get out, Lisa said, checking the disruptor device. They moved through organic corridors that seemed alive, pulsing and shifting around them. At the center, they found a massive chamber filled with neural matter, the primary consciousness that directed the entire Voidbreed collective. As they placed the disruptor, the chamber began to contract around them. They know we're here, Greg realized. We need to move. But the way back was already sealed, the organic walls growing together to trap them. Start the countdown, Greg said calmly. We'll make sure it completes. Lisa activated the device. 30 seconds. As the disruptor powered up, it sent pulses of energy into the neural matter. The entire structure shuddered in pain. The hive mind is fracturing, Lisa observed, watching the readings on her scanner. The connection between individual Voidbreed is breaking down. Outside, across the battlefield, the enemy vessels began to drift aimlessly, their coordinated attack dissolving into chaos as the controlling intelligence fragmented. Admiral Porter watched the central node begin to collapse in on itself. Get them out of there. But it was too late. The node imploded, taking Greg, Lisa, and the heart of the Voidbreed consciousness with it. In the aftermath, the Concord Council convened an emergency session. The Novan ambassador, one of the few survivors of his species, addressed the assembly. We asked for heroes, and the Deathworlders answered with fire. We owe our continued existence to those we once feared and isolated. The quarantine of Earth ends today, and with it, a new era for our galaxy begins. On the observation deck of the Defender, Ella watched as ships from Earth passed freely through the worm gates, bringing human innovation, resilience, and perspective to a galactic community that had grown complacent in its garden of plenty. "We paid a heavy price," Admiral Porter said, joining her. "But we gained a universe," Ella replied. "And maybe they gained something too. A reminder that true strength comes not from evolving in perfect conditions, but from surviving the harshest ones." As the ship turned toward home, news arrived that the Conquered had officially invited Earth to take a permanent seat on the Council. Humanity, the Deathworlders who had answered with fire when called upon, would now help shape the future of a galaxy that had finally understood. Sometimes salvation comes from the most unlikely places.